You ever notice how silence can get too loud sometimes? That heavy kind of quiet that doesn't feel peaceful, it feels empty. Well, it turns out that silence isn't just in your head. Studies show that chronic social isolation can actually shrink areas of your brain responsible for memory, emotional regulation, and even decision-making. Yeah, being alone for too long literally rewires your mind, and not in a good way. What's wild is that most people don't even realize it's happening. They just feel a little more tired, a little more anxious, and suddenly the spark that made them feel alive is gone. The truth? Loneliness isn't just a feeling, it's a biological stress signal that messes with your immune system, raises inflammation, and impacts your overall mental health, well-being, and quality of life. But here's the good news. Your brain isn't broken. It's adaptable. With the right habits and a few mindful shifts in your lifestyle, you can restore balance, rebuild resilience, and strengthen your mental health like never before. You can train your mind to reconnect, reduce stress, and boost your immunity naturally. No magic pills, no fake quick fixes. And by the end of this, you'll understand exactly what social isolation does to your brain and how you can reverse the damage through simple, science-backed habits that bring back clarity, happiness, and purpose. Ready to see what's really happening inside your mind? Let's dive in. Most people think loneliness just hurts emotionally, but inside your brain, it's doing way more damage than you'd imagine. When the mind is deprived of connection, it enters a survival mode. Levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, start to climb, impairing memory and focus. Over time, this constant tension weakens your mental health, drains your energy, and literally shrinks the hippocampus, the part of your brain that keeps your emotions balanced. Think about it. When you go days without deep conversation or laughter, your brain starts to lose stimulation. It's like a muscle that hasn't been used. You might notice your thoughts feel foggy, your motivation slips, and your sense of well-being fades. Scientists have even found that social isolation increases the risk of dementia by up to 40%. That's how powerful human connection truly is for a healthy mind. And yet, we live in a world that praises independence so much, we've forgotten how essential community really is. Our ancestors thrived in tribes for a reason. Connection wasn't a luxury, it was survival. Now, scrolling endlessly through social media tricks our brains into thinking we're connected. But deep down, we feel more empty, more anxious, and less alive. That's the modern trap of isolation, silent, invisible, but deeply destructive. The good news? Just as your brain can deteriorate from isolation, it can heal through reconnection. Neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself, means you can rebuild the neural pathways that boost emotional balance, resilience, and clarity. And once you understand how loneliness triggers stress and cognitive decline, you'll see how easy it is to start reversing the damage step by step. When the brain senses isolation, it reacts the same way it would to a physical threat. The body floods with cortisol and adrenaline, your natural fight or flight response, even though there's no danger around. This hormonal surge raises blood pressure, increases inflammation, and slowly damages your cardiovascular health. Over time, the stress becomes chronic, and that's when things start to spiral. This constant tension wears down your ability to think clearly. It messes with your short-term memory, your focus, and your creativity. You start to forget little things, lose track of time, and struggle to make simple decisions. That's not weakness, that's biology. Studies show that people who feel lonely for long periods have slower cognitive processing and higher risks of neurodegenerative diseases. It's your brain's way of saying, hey, I need connection. But here's the tricky part. Loneliness doesn't always look lonely. You can be surrounded by people and still feel disconnected if your relationships lack depth. That kind of emotional isolation can be just as toxic, quietly draining your mental health, motivation, and even your immune system. It's like running on an empty tank. You keep going, but everything feels harder. The beautiful thing, though, is that the brain can bounce back. The same pathways that shut down under isolation can reignite when you engage in mindful connection through therapy, community activities, volunteering, or even deep conversations that feed your soul. And once you see how deeply loneliness impacts anxiety and depression, you'll realize how much power you actually have to reclaim your mind and rebuild your emotional strength. Loneliness doesn't just make you feel sad. It rewires your emotional circuits. When your brain stops receiving consistent social feedback, the areas responsible for empathy, reward, and motivation begin to slow down. That's when anxiety creeps in. You start overthinking small things, questioning your worth, and seeing danger where there is none. It's your nervous system reacting to disconnection, not failure. The problem deepens when isolation becomes routine. Without enough emotional support, the brain releases less dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good chemicals that stabilize mood. Over time, that imbalance leads to depression, low energy, and loss of purpose. People begin to mistake this emotional numbness for personality change, when in reality, it's a neurological adaptation to protect itself from pain. But let's get real. Everyone's felt that foggy mix of loneliness and sadness at some point. Maybe it's after losing someone, moving to a new city, or simply working too much and forgetting to live. The key is recognizing that this state isn't permanent. Engaging in activities that spark mindfulness, autocuidado, or therapias naturae like yoga and meditation can literally reawaken dormant neural networks, helping your brain regain balance. Healing starts the moment you reconnect, not just with people, but with yourself. When you align your mental health with a sense of purpose, your body responds. Stress hormones drop, immunity strengthens, and clarity returns. And once you learn how to rewire your brain through connection and purpose, you'll see that recovery isn't just possible, it's powerful. Here's something amazing. Your brain is always changing. It's called neuroplasticity. Every new habit, every moment of connection, every act of kindness literally reshapes your neural pathways. When you reconnect with others, your brain releases oxytocin and endorphins, chemicals that enhance emotional balance, reduce stress, and boost mental health. It's proof that purpose and connection aren't just feel-good ideas. They're biological tools for healing. Think about people who volunteer, mentor, or even care for pets. They often report higher levels of happiness and better immunity. That's because purpose creates stability. It gives your mind something to anchor to, reducing anxiety and reactivating the brain regions responsible for motivation and joy. It's not about doing something huge. Even small daily acts like checking in on a friend or joining a hobby group start to rebuild those neural circuits. And it's not just emotional, it's physical. Studies show that meaningful connection can lower blood pressure, improve cardiovascular health, and even extend lifespan. In short, a connected life is a longer, healthier one. When you mix mindfulness with purposeful action, you create a natural medicine, no side effects, just long-term well-being and balance. Once you realize how powerful connection truly is, you'll want to build habits that keep your brain sharp and your heart full. And speaking of habits, next, we'll explore the daily practices that can actually heal your mind, reduce stress, and help you rebuild your sense of peace from the inside out. Healing your brain doesn't require some massive life overhaul. It starts with small, consistent actions. Think of it like mental fitness training. Just as exercise strengthens your body, daily mindfulness, movement, and balanced nutrition rebuild your mind. Try walking outdoors for 20 minutes. Sunlight boosts serotonin, and nature lowers cortisol. Add breathing exercises before bed. It signals your nervous system to relax and improves your sleep quality naturally. Next, prioritize real connection. Texting is fine, but it doesn't replace face-to-face interaction. Call a friend, join a community group, or volunteer once a week. Studies show that people with strong social ties have a 50% higher chance of living longer and report significantly lower levels of stress and depression. That's what authentic connection does. It strengthens both your mental health and immunity. Another underrated habit? Practicing gratitude. Write down 3 things you're thankful for each day, even simple ones like a good meal or a warm shower. Gratitude shifts your focus from survival to abundance, rewiring your brain toward optimism. Pair that with an active lifestyle, balanced meals, and mindful breaks throughout your day, and you're literally training your mind for well-being and resilience. These small steps might seem simple, but over time, they reshape your entire outlook. You'll notice better focus, steadier energy, and a stronger sense of peace. Proof that medicine preventiva isn't just about avoiding illness. It's about creating balance and thriving. And when you look back, you'll see rebuilding your mind wasn't about fixing yourself. It was about rediscovering who you were meant to be all along. Remember how draining it felt when silence started to weigh heavier than noise? When loneliness slowly blurred your focus, your joy, and your sense of self? Now you understand that feeling wasn't weakness. It was your brain's way of asking for connection, balance, and healing. You've learned how isolation reshapes your mind, but more importantly, how simple, mindful habits can help you rebuild it. So now the real question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you keep living on autopilot or start creating a life that fuels your mental health, your well-being, and your purpose? You have the power to change your brain every single day. One deep breath, one genuine conversation, one act of kindness at a time. Take a moment to reflect. Who can you reconnect with today? What small habit could you start that brings more peace, more clarity, and more joy into your life? Your healing journey isn't waiting, it's already begun. Right here, right now. And hey, if this inspired you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. Let's keep growing together, one habit, one heartbeat at a time.